Hey Liberty, my name is Radiance Bomberger, and today you'll be hearing from my dad, Ryan Bomberger, the co-founder of the Radiance Foundation. You may even know him as the international speaker who's spoken and debated at colleges like Harvard, Princeton, Trinity College in Ireland, or because he's spoken to millions at conferences, summits, churches. You may even see him on Fox News, talking about the easy issues like abortion, race, gender. He's a columnist, an Emmy Award winner, and the author of the powerful books, Not Equal Civil Rights Gone Wrong, She is She and He is He. But I know him as Dad, the guy who will sit and watch random movies with me while making fun of characters the entire time, the guy who will try to embarrass me at any point in time by randomly singing and dancing. As I've gotten older, I've just realized I might as well just join him. So we'll go around the mall sometimes, and if we see something that's funny, we'll just start singing and dancing about it. And he is literally the most wonderful person in the world, and he's led me to Christ through so many different things, and I just love being his daughter. So without further ado, Ryan Bomberger.
Wow. Okay, they didn't give me a heads up that they're gonna make me cry before I came up here. Love you, girl. Love all my kiddos. I have 4 kiddos and my amazing wife, Bethany. Woo! Feels good to be here at Liberty. Anybody happy to be here? Anybody happy to be alive? Well, good morning. I will say our family became part of LU this past fall, as you saw with that surprise video from my daughter, Radiance. My name is Ryan Bomberger. I'm the co-founder and chief creative agitator of the Radiance Foundation. Anybody else in here an agitator? Frederick Douglass, one of my childhood heroes, said the way that you address injustice is to agitate, agitate, agitate. And we do this, of course, from a kingdom perspective. So my wife and I decided that we were going to start an organization, which is called the Radiance Foundation. And we wanted to do 3 things: to illuminate, educate, and motivate. To illuminate the truth that every human life has God-given purpose. Whether you're planned, unplanned, able, disabled, and whatever beautiful hue of skin you have, every human life has purpose. Amen? Then we educate about all those easy topics. Ray mentioned some of those. And then, of course, then we motivate, because what good is our knowledge? What good is our faith? What good is your education at Liberty if you don't put into action? And so my wife was a teacher for about 13 years in both public and private school. I was a creative director in the ad agency world for the same amount of time. My wife also homeschooled for 17 years. A few homeschoolers here. But we created the Radiance Foundation so that we could illuminate, educate, and motivate. We're motivated by 1 Corinthians 13:6 that says, love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices in the truth. And how many of you know that we need a lot more truth in our culture today? And I'm not talking about your truth or my truth, because there's just the truth. Can I get an amen? So we love creating stuff that's fearless, factual, and free. If you go to radiance.life, you'll see all the stuff that we create, from the graphics, infographics, the weekly op-eds, the videos. And Radiance mentioned our books. We have some books, Not Equal Civil Rights Gone Wrong, which was the result of putting a billboard campaign up in the very conservative San Francisco Bay Area. Are you familiar with that? Not so conservative. We were denounced by the ACLU, denounced by Planned Parenthood, which feels great. But we placed billboards highlighting the hugely disproportionate impact of abortion in the black community. Planned Parenthood is a leading killer of black lives. And so we created this billboard campaign to highlight that. Of course, abortion is a tragedy no matter the color of your skin. And so that's how this book was born, Pro-Life Kids. And of course, it's crazy in 2024 that we actually have to say this, and that this is somehow controversial to say, she is she. Say it with me. And since we believe in gender equality, we also have our children's book, He is He. I love illuminating the truth because it comes from love. We live in a culture that wants us to shut our mouths and just be silent, and that's really not the way that I operate, and that's not the way anyone should operate. I love talking about life and all of the craziness, all the beauty, all the joys, all the triumphs, and even the tragedies. This is actually one of the most amazing moments in my life. It was the first moment that I was able to hold my first son's hand. This little guy, his name is Makai, And I will tell you, I don't know how many of you admit that you ugly cry. Anybody here ugly cry? I was ugly crying, partly because I wasn't prepared for what a C-section was gonna look like. Not gonna lie. I need some smelling salts. It was crazy, but it was one of the most beautiful days of my life, which is why I love talking about the beauty of possibility. The possibility that's not given to us by man or woman or governmental institution, the worth that is not given by any of them, but by God. Beauty of possibility is something my family grew up in. My family that I grew up in was kind of small. We only had 15 in our family. I have 6 brothers, 6 sisters, 10 of us were adopted. And you know, the funny thing is, life is never picture perfect, and that is what makes it so beautiful.
Perfect. Human beings come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, and abilities. No matter how much we plan, no matter how much we think we're prepared, the unplanned happens all the time. It's how we respond to the unexpected that shows our true humanity. But many do not see the value of every human life. Too many are willing to discard those who don't fit the picture of perfection. Abortion destroys the chance to love and to be loved. We never know what will fill the frames of our lives, or how empty those frames can be when we allow exceptions.
Every life is a gift.
Every life is a gift. I hope everybody in here believes that. I know the world doesn't see it that way. I mean, the scripture tells us that every life is a blessing, every child is a blessing, heritage from the Lord. But the world sees life as a burden. And I thank God that my parents, Henry and Andrea Bomberger, didn't see things that way. In fact, here's a before picture. This is the Bomberger family before all the imports. But these are my parents, Henry and Andrea Bomberger, and my first 3 siblings. I'll call them the homemade ones. I haven't found a better label for them, so that's what I'm sticking with. But oftentimes people will look at this picture and like, oh yeah, that's picture perfect, but God knew that there was so much more to the storyline of the Bombergers. People often ask me, what inspired your parents to adopt 10 kids? And sometimes you kind of hear the undertones like, what possessed them to adopt? Well, 2 things, brokenness and love. See, it was my mom's brokenness. My mom actually grew up in a trailer park. She grew up with an alcoholic father who was emotionally and psychologically abusive. And so for 1 year's time, my mom had to be placed in a children's home, in an orphanage. And it was at that time that she noticed that there was another little girl at this home who had physical disabilities, and no one came to see that little girl. My mom was 5. We underestimate children. Anybody in here work with children? They're awesome. My daughter is an education major. She loves working with kids, and they love her. But we underestimate kids all the time, the way that they receive and the way they perceive the world. But this little 5-year-old, my mom, her heart was so radically moved because no one came to see her. At least my mom had her mom and her dad visit her separately, but no one came for that girl to hold her, to hug her, or to tell her that she was loved. And so at the age of 5, my mom's life was changed. She remembers getting down on her knees and inviting Jesus into her heart, and also asking God, it's kind of a big prayer here, but asking God to help her be a mommy to those who didn't have one. And so that's how it began. In fact, this is the first moment my mom was able to hold me. I was once cute in my life here. But this is the first moment she was able to hold me. I was 6 weeks old. And it's interesting because you see a picture and you hear the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but sometimes you still have to explain the picture. So what you can't know from this is the loss. So when I talk about the beauty of possibility, there's also the beauty of sacrifice. But not the sacrifice that our culture and our society understands. They understand sacrificing others. But it's the beauty of self-sacrifice. See, my mom tried to always connect with her father throughout her life, even though he had constantly pushed them away. Their parents were divorced. He was an alcoholic, but she loved him, and she knew that his only way to healing was through Jesus. So she never gave up on him. In fact, he was involved with the original Bombergers. But the moment they talked about adopting me, I don't know if you notice, I'm brown. The moment they talked about adopting me, he said, and I'm going to change the language here, but he said, if you bring that black child into your home, you're going to ruin your family. And I won't want anything to do with it. So they adopted me. So thank you, Mom and Dad. They made the right choice. But I would tell you this, my mother literally had to lose a father in order to gain a son. Wow, racism is putrid. It is so putrid, and I'm glad that my parents never embraced the lie or ran away from those who said, well, how are you gonna love kids who don't look like you? I didn't realize you had to be the same color to love somebody. Here's my dad, the most amazing man that I've ever known. And you can see here in the graphic, it says, color isn't what binds us. Love is. Amen? My dad was a man who loved Jesus. And honestly, when you love Jesus, the natural outflow of that is loving people. Racism cannot coexist with love. My dad was the same man at home as he was outside of the home. He loved those that others abandoned. I mean, my parents were the parents of 13 teenagers. Let that just sink in. We had 1.5 bathrooms in our house for a period of time. I know, right? I had 6 sisters. Anyway, moving on. My dad is the reason why I love being a husband, the reason why I love being a father, because he truly reflected God's heart. My parents loved the Lord, and that's the greatest gift they gave to all of us. I will say that one of the most painful experiences in my life was losing my dad during the height of COVID. My dad passed away tragically, and I guess somewhat ironically, on the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. In fact, the 3-year anniversary of his passing was this past Monday, January 22nd. But I'll say my dad's life and his incredible legacy of faith and love redeemed that day for me. You can see here on his headstone, my mom had this verse engraved, and it really represents both of them, because when you're married, you're one. Our family couldn't be without both mother and father in love with Jesus, and in turn in love with us. 1 Corinthians 16, 13, and 14 says, be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous. And actually the Greek word there, it's Andreas. And it's interesting because my mom's name is Andrea. Be strong and do everything with love. My parents did that so well, and they shattered this myth that unplanned equals unwanted equals unloved. It's the DNA of the abortion industry. They shattered that myth. This is an old article, and I love the title because the journalist got it. You can see the title says, quote, unwanted children, unquote, find they're wanted. You see, there's truly no such thing as unwanted. We're all wanted by someone. And in our family, we were wanted, we were loved. I'm the one with the checkered collar. I was a handful. Anybody a handful in your family? Mm-hmm. Sometimes your parents don't know what to do with that stubborn, strong-willed stuff. But I thank God my parents endured. This is actually the whole crew, all of my siblings. It's like everybody's got an afro in the picture, even the white folks in the picture. I'm just, everybody. You can see, obviously, we don't look alike. We're white, and black, Native American, Vietnamese, able, disabled. Everyone in this picture has special needs, just like everyone today gathered at Convo has special needs, which are to love and to be loved. And we were loved like crazy. You know, most of us were adopted out of the foster care system. And there are many people who talk about, well, no child should ever go through that kind of trauma and suffering. Of course, we don't want anyone to suffer. As Christians, we work to alleviate suffering, to eliminate it anywhere we can. But we live in a culture that's so fixated with trauma and wanting to stay in that place. But see, trauma should never, ever be a resting place. It should be a reference point. We serve a God who enables triumph to rise from tragedy all the time. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? God specializes in that. I remember at my debate years ago at Harvard, several years ago, the professor kept talking about how lives like my siblings, lives like mine, that we were better off dead. No child should ever grow up in poverty, she said. No woman should ever be a single mom. Nobody should have to suffer from disabilities. And I responded, nobody is better off dead. We're all better off loved. Can I get an amen in here? So in the natural, when we talk about adoption, adoption brings wholeness and healing to what was broken. And it may be a lifelong journey this side of heaven. It doesn't mean that it's instantaneous healing, but it begins that process of healing. And in my family, with all of our different hues, I love that my parents emphasized not to pretend that we don't see color, because we do. We serve a colorful God. He created color for us to enjoy and to celebrate, but never to separate ourselves by it. Can I get an amen? We are one human race, Acts 17:26. From one blood, God created us all. But we spend so much time trying to figure out how we can separate ourselves. And the church should be the ones leading and dismissing this notion that somehow color should separate us, that color tells us something about that person. You want to know about that person? Have a relationship with that person. Get to know that person. But don't presume you know them because of the color of their skin. Don't presume to know that somebody's status of wantedness can be determined simply by looking at them. Now, I want to show you a picture of what unwanted supposedly looks like. So this is my whole family, my brothers, my sisters, and their spouses, and their children, all of our children. No extended family members except for one little grandma in the middle of the picture. This is what supposedly unwanted looks like. That's right. The Bombergers, not the Duggars. Just want to emphasize that. 64 strong in this picture. And what's crazy is this picture was taken 10 years ago, and so there have been 18 more lives added. 20. There are new pregnancies. There are 20 more added to this picture since then. This picture happened because of parents who defied the world's low expectations, who rejected the lie that if you're going to be unplanned, you're going to be unwanted, you're going to be unloved. This picture is possible too because of courageous birth parents, men and women who chose to be stronger than their circumstances. And people will often ask me, well, have you ever met your birth mom? I haven't. I searched for her years ago, and I was never able to find her, never able to meet her face to face. So I figured as a creative, how do I express my gratitude for being alive? For having a courageous birth mom who went through 9 months of a traumatic pregnancy. What do I even say? So I created this jingle, wrote these lyrics, sang the lyrics, and I thought maybe one day, somehow, some way, even though I may not see her face to face, maybe she'll see this online and understand the beautiful reverberations that her courage caused. So I thought when I created this, if I never get to see her face to face and have a conversation, this would be my conversation with her.
You couldn't see what I would be. It wasn't part of your plan. Stronger than your circumstance, you gave my life a chance, touching the future before it began. You're the reason I am here. I know deep down in my soul, my life has purpose. I know deep down in my soul, my life has purpose.
I am literally the 1% that's used 100% of the time to justify abortion. But the circumstances of our conception never change the condition of our worth. And when we talk about the issue of abortion and rape, first of all, what I find interesting on the pro-abortion side is they never talk about punishing the rapist, ever. What we need and what victims of the violence of rape need, wholeness and healing, not abortion hucksters. profiting from pain and fear. My prayer is that my birth mom experience healing, which is why I wish I would have been able to just meet her and bring my 4 kiddos and my wife and to say, this is the beautiful side of such a tragic thing done to you. And I just thank you for being strong enough. And honestly, the myth that we have to dispel is that wantedness equals worth. In fact, Planned Parenthood's first slogan was every child a wanted child. I guess because every unwanted child, a dead child, didn't have the same ring. But this is a brochure actually from the late 30s, Planned Parenthood, which used to be called the Birth Control Federation of America. And the brochure is about birth control, but in the middle panel, it's interesting, the truth that ekes out from Planned Parenthood once in a while. And they're asking about birth control, is it an abortion? And the answer is, no, it's not. It's not an abortion. Abortion kills life after it has begun. Abortion is dangerous to your life and health. Well, just fast forward decades and decades, and now Planned Parenthood is touting abortion as health care, during COVID especially. Abortion is essential. Abortion is health care. Okay, let me just kind of put it in this context. If abortion is health care, then slavery was job care. Yeah, I did say that. It's amazing what we do with euphemisms. And of course now they're just saying abortion is love. You can see this, the post on X. What kind of love? Certainly not love for someone who's vulnerable, for the mother, for the father, for the child, born and unborn. Which is why I want to dismiss another myth. Pregnancy centers are fake clinics. Anybody ever hear that? Which of course they're not, because they are actually licensed by the state. They're medical. But I want to just play a little clip. This is actually a congressman from Jersey sitting outside of a medical clinic licensed by the state, which has medical staff. And this is how he refers to the Pregnancy Resource Center, which is the alternative to the violence of abortion. Those who call themselves pro-choice work overtime in trying to shut down every option other than the violence of abortion.
But it's actually one of many deceptive brainwashing cult clinics across our state and country known as crisis pregnancy centers. A so-called crisis pregnancy center poses as a healthcare clinic with doctors and nurses, but you actually won't find any healthcare professionals behind those doors. We need to do everything we can to shut down these brainwashing cult clinics, and they are brainwashing cult clinics.
I'm not sure if you caught that, but brainwashing cult clinics. This is how deep you have to go to hate the alternatives to abortion. Here's another clip from probably a favorite. Anybody ever hear of Elizabeth Warren? Hey, we're supposed to love everyone. Just listen to what she's got to say. Here we go.
But it's actually one.
In Massachusetts right now, those crisis pregnancy centers that are there to fool people who are looking for pregnancy termination help outnumber true abortion clinics by 3 to 1. We need to shut them down here in Massachusetts, and we need to shut them down all around the country. You should not be able to torture a pregnant person like that.
Okay. There's so much to unpack there, but first of all, it's a great thing that pregnancy medical clinics, pregnancy resource centers outnumber abortion mills. Can we just give a hand clap for that? Also, I think the word she's looking for is not the ambiguous pregnant people. I think the word is women. I don't know what's so hard about it. I watched my wife giving birth. We are equal, but we are not the same. Yes. Women, you are stronger than I can even imagine. You are beautifully and biologically different. I am tired of a society that tries to erase you. Yes. And then I want to show you this little piece, because when she's talking about torture, I think it's important for us to actually see the torture that she is talking about. This is the torture that she's talking about. This is called a baby and mama boutique. You will find them in thousands of pregnancy centers because what they do is they give out millions and millions of dollars worth of free materials. They're not just helping materially, they're helping spiritually, they're helping emotionally, they're helping in so many other ways with resources, but they give out tens of millions of dollars of free items, cribs, furniture, formula, diapers, clothes, maternity wear, the list goes on and on. Guess what you won't ever find inside of a Planned Parenthood? This. Because if you choose parenting, well, Planned Parenthood isn't about it. But this is why when they demonize them, it's why I typically call them fake feminists. And what happens is inside pregnancy centers, there is a transformational thing that happens. Inside of abortion center, it's transactional. It's about the money and see you later. And I love that the Radiance Foundation has been able to work with many pro-life pregnancy centers across the country for years and years. The difference between the abortion industry and pregnancy centers is that the abortion industry will lure women with their lies. And pregnancy centers love women with their lives. And for anybody who's not been to the local pregnancy centers here, I really encourage you, step in and see how God rescues and redeems. And for anyone who may be post-abortive or know someone who's post-abortive, there's a QR code here on this slide. Please, no one needs to live in shame. God delivers. This leads you to our radiance.life/heal resource, and this is for women and men. The world tells you it's no big deal. Having an abortion is like having your tooth pulled. But I don't recall there being support groups for people who've had their teeth pulled. But there are millions of women and men who regret their abortion. We're stronger than our circumstances. And this is not on our own strength. Philippians 4:13 says what? I can do some things through Christ. No, what does it say? I can do all things through Christ. In our family, we know this. We know this deeply. My wife was a single mom for years. She was in her 20s. She was teaching in Philly, trying to be a role model for her students, but she walked away from a toxic relationship and had kind of walked away from God, experienced all kind of disappointments in her life and walked away. Walked away from that relationship, finds out that she's pregnant. Many pressured her to abort. She never considered it. Her fellow teacher said, just abort it. So to understand who we are and how our family story began is to understand the incredible courage of my amazing wife, whom I love ridiculously. This is our story wrapped up in about 1 minute. And I love that she'll be the class of 27 here at Liberty University. Oh my gosh. We are stronger than our circumstances. Not only did I adopt Ray, but Bethany and I adopted our youngest son, Justice. This is actually the first moment we were united with him. That was awesome. And our family has expanded since then, obviously. So this is all of us. We're the Bombergers, but they call us the Bombs. So this is all of us. If you don't remember much of what I say today, please remember this, that some of the best things in life are unplanned. I want to bring my daughter up, my youngest daughter, Aaliyah. This is actually the moment I realized how much God the Father loves us. I'm holding my Aaliyah, my youngest daughter, and I understood that I would do anything for this girl. I would move heaven and earth for any of my children. And so I just want Aaliyah to leave you with something A girl who wouldn't be here, by the way, if my birth mom had chosen abortion. So I'm just gonna have her leave us. Oh, she's right there. Hey, Leah. All right, do your thing, girl.
Shine through me, oh, shine through me, shine, shine.
I love that girl. Liberty, when we shine God's love, when we shine the light of Christ, you help make lives like mine and my family possible. Thank you, Liberty. God bless.